All right, does everyone hear me? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Perfect. So, well, today what we're going to do is just going to be a little bit of a shorter class, just kind of going through basic income. We have had a lot of our we've had a lot of our LOs, new LOs, or even seasoned LOs that have had a few questions on regards to that. So we're going to start today with a basic income class. Let me know if you guys see the screen.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So what we like to do is just today what we're going to go through is just kind of like an hourly employee and a salary employee, just kind of running through what we look for when we're looking at basic income. We are rolling out a calendar already, everybody. I do apologize for the delay on that. We were trying to put it together where it made sense for everybody and their schedules, as well as me being here so that we can roll out this calendar and have more education opportunities for all of us. So for today, we wanted to do a basic income calculation class. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If it wants to. Okay. There we go. So, the first thing that we always want to do when we're doing a pay structure for basic income is we want to look at how they're getting paid, right? So we want to ensure that their pay structure is correct to, especially the biggest, errors that we do find sometimes is either a semi-monthly or a bi-weekly employee. So a lot of the times we see, them getting their paychecks a certain date, and we just want to automatically input it into the system by that date, and we are sometimes miscalculating it. So we want to make sure that we're taking a look at whether a salary employee is either a bi-weekly or a semi-monthly employee. And for this, as you guys can tell here, with a semi-monthly, it is a 24 paycheck per year. So of course you're missing 2 paychecks. And if that's like, $2,500 a pay period, it does amount to quite a lot sometimes. With a bi-weekly, you're getting 26 paychecks. When we're looking at monthly, of course, like I mentioned a couple times, school, employees, they get paid either 10 or 11 months out of the year. So we want to definitely double check those so that we're multiplying by the 10 or 11 month and dividing by 12. Of course, a weekly employee, it's 52 weeks in a year. So we just definitely divide it by that. Of course, having the hourly is going to be your biggest base. But this is just when you have somewhat of a salary employee that gets paid in a different format. Do keep in mind that FHA does require a certain amount of pay stubs. They're a little bit more strict. So we do tend to ask for, a weekly employee. They have to be no more than 30 days old. So we do sometimes have to get up to 5 pay stubs. For biweekly, we might need 3 pay stubs. And the reason for that is because they also want to confirm if there's any type of salary change or anything like that. So for biweekly and semi-monthly, they want to go ahead and check that. So we have a sample here of a salary employee who, again, just ensuring that they're getting paid, biweekly or semi-monthly. Here we have to also make sure that we're taking a look at their hours. Keep in mind that your underwriter is definitely going to look at their hours because, they want to make sure that they're actually completing their hours, even if they're salary or not. So here it's a pretty easy one, straightforward. They're getting paid $42.93.58 for, per hour. This particular borrower was a 26 pay period employee. So as you guys can see, a calculation sample. This is if you do it manually, and I'm going to go ahead and show you. And I will share with you guys after our income calculation sheet. It's one of the things that gets requested by us a lot. The underwriter does use this income calculation sheet. So trust me, it's a lifesaver. It's so easy, and it makes it so easy for you guys to calculate your income. So the sample here, as you can see, we multiply it by 26, which gives us our annual amount. And then we divide it by 12, which will give you your monthly amount. Now on here, we're multiplying it by 2.87 months to calculate and make sure, because you always want to double check as well, that their actual year to date is matching their salary. They, you know, if it's not matching, like as you can see here, it's more year to date. Our calculation came out to 26,698 when their calculation is 27, but it's not that far off. You know, we're about 400 bucks off, so maybe they got a raise. We do have a pay date decimal calendar, and this is how we end up doing this months. I can share with you guys this as well. I have this nice and clean because we have a pretty blurry one. I found this one, it's much nicer. So what we will always go is we'll base it on your pay period end date, right? So month and day, we will go, was it March 27? So we have 2.87 months. So you guys don't have to be doing so much math. You know, this is a pretty cool tool. So as you can tell, like I mentioned, I will share with you guys this income calculator. And it's really cool. I can show you guys how to use it and all that good stuff. But as you can see, we want to double check their income here, right? So that we can see if the salary from their previous years and their current is matching or if it's more. Now we are seeing that they're getting more money, right? So when you start seeing that, and we did see it on the pay stubs, right? They are getting bonuses and holidays and vacations. So we want to see what other type of income we can give this borrower. So going back here, you guys can see her salary was $93,0276, but she's actually making a lot more a month. So at this point, my recommendation is always get a verification of employment. Make sure that you guys can maximize your income. She already makes a lot of money, but if you can give her more and maximize her income, it's better. So in this case, we did order the verification of employment, and she was getting bonuses and other. Now, keep in mind, guys, if she's getting other, we do want to know what the other is for so that we can give that income to the borrower. But bonus, for sure, we can definitely give that income, right? Now, for FHA, FHA will only allow you guys to use your previous 2 years. So we would have to average these 2 years by 24 months. They don't usually use year to date. I know that new lender letters went out this morning, so I'm going to review them if in case anything came up about that. But just so you guys know, FHA uses the last 2 years. Conventional, you can use 2 years and year to date. For instance, I have a situation right now when I have a borrower that had the last 2 years 7,700 in bonuses, but his year to date is 31,000. Now, I needed to find out why. So, which is why I ordered verification of employment, which told me his pay structure changed from salary with bonuses to bonus only. So I want to fight that income, right? So, you know, I definitely always recommend if you have a situation where you see more income coming in, definitely order a verification of employment so that you guys can finalize your income. So on that sense, we redid the income calculation and we went ahead and placed her salary as it was. And now we broke down her actual salary, base employment here, her bonus and her other. And this is exactly what your underwriter is going to do, right? They're going to break it down. They're not going to give it to you in this case like we did it here with the total amount, because now we want to know exactly where that income is going towards. So here, excuse me, here we have the overtime. So again, because we went conventional in this scenario, we're going to go with the worst case, right? Which is year to date and 2 years. With the other, we did have to do a letter of explanation what it was, but we were able to use the other. Look, it's another $1,000, right? And we're going to go with worst case. So as you can tell, we went with the top number, not the total average, because the worst case is always going to be because it's considered a declining income. And then up here, her salary made sense because her verification of employment did state that she is an annual employee that gets paid bi-weekly. So, just to confirm, we put it in a bi-weekly sense, we put it in an annual, and it matched. Her year to date was slightly lower, but we do know that on this verification, you can't see it, but sometimes it will state that she had just gotten a raise. And we did notice that because we did have previous pay stubs showing that she had just received a slight raise, and that's why her amount here was higher. So all that, you know, good stuff helps. Here, this was of course in the COVID era when I did this first class. We could not use COVID pay. So we still can't because it wasn't a, you know, something that was going to continue, but you definitely can use bonus, overtime. You know, I have employees that get a bonus structure. Like I have a sheriff right now who gets, you know, shooting bonuses. He passes a shooting bonus and he gets like, I think like 250 a month extra. That's extra income. They're getting that bonus. As long as it's something that's going to continue, you definitely can use it. Now, taking a look at your W-2s, you know, you want to make sure that you take a look at the W-2s is matching, right? Your verification of employment. If you guys notice here, it is a little bit off from there. It does have 123 total, and we had that here, right? So long as that matches, you guys just want to make sure that matches. Now, this instance here, it helped us out because this is not matching, right? If you guys can tell, it says 105, it says 123 here. But the reason for that is because she also gets certain, you know, items that are non-taxable. So this is what she was taxed on, but her total income was 123. So that's one thing you guys definitely want to do when you're getting your W-2s, is just make sure that it matches, because you know, your underwriter is going to question it. This is a full W-2, which gives you a full breakdown. So it helps. A lot of the times, all you get is this portion here. So you do have to make sure that why is, if it's matching, if it's not matching, why is it not matching? So, you know, you do want to make sure that you're getting that just to make sure that you don't have any issues with your underwriter. This was a great example why we put it up here, because as you can see, the breakdown they gave us, it actually did match on the gross pay, but this was the reported W-2 with the items that are non-taxable. So now does anybody have any questions on the salary? Just to before I move forward to an hourly employee? No? Okay. Let me put this down. Okay. So here we have a new hourly employee pay stub. Again, we can calculate on the per hour basis, and just make sure when you guys are getting pay stubs that are hourly employees, make sure your hours are 40 hours. I've had some people submit a file that they give them 40 hours and they only average anywhere from like 25 or 30 hours. We're going to have to go with an average when their hourly is fluctuating. And what I mean their hourly is, I mean their hourly worked hours. So for example, I have here a previous client that we had that had an average of hours between 29, 33, and 26 hours. So what we did is we grabbed all 3 hours and we divided it by 3. So we added 29, 33, and 26 and came up with an hourly, weekly hours of only 29 hours per week. So therefore, what you need to end up doing is grab their pay rate and multiply it by that average of hours to be able to give them that. We also do a average year to date, so that you can see if that coincides with the hourly that you're giving them based on their average hours. So we want to make sure that, especially if you have a part-time employee or time and a half employee, someone who's not full-time, that your year to date plus your hours are actually matching, especially when it comes to FHA. FHA is going to pretty much give you kind of like your worst case scenario. So usually what we try to do with FHA is grab your year to date and average it by the year period, just like the calendar that I showed you guys in the beginning, and average those months to make sure that your 2.39 months and your year to date match. As you can see here, based on the 2.39 months, it's way less. You know, we're at 97.22, but it's supposed to be 11,000 something. So you want to find out why. Again, here's another great scenario as to why order a verification of employment. There's something off, right? So we want to make sure why. Why is it off? Because remember, what we're calculating here is only the 27 per hour. Now, it could be, hey, I was part-time, I went full-time. As long as we have an explanation, that's going to help us be able to fight that income, of course, and give them the higher income. Because at this point, I want to give my borrower 11,000 and not 9,700 averaged out. So we want to know why. One of the biggest reasons in this case was because they got a raise. So we ended up, the good thing is we had a previous pay stub showing the 24 per hour rate. And then we had the 27 increase pay here. So, you know, again, going to your income calculator, doing that math is always going to help you guys be able to get a better qualification for your borrower. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with the $27 per hour because they're making more money. So I want to make sure that I'm giving them the best case scenario here. But as you can tell, this borrower has overtime. So this borrower was a truck driver. So he was like a fleet driver. And what he did is he got overtime, and he also got certain bonuses that he would get. So, you know, we want to be able to give him all that. So again, a verification of employment is a great way to make sure that you guys are getting that extra income for your borrower and pushing that qualification, especially if they're purchasing nowadays. You know, every penny counts. So in this case, we ordered a verification of employment. On the verification, it did show us that they had gotten that increased pay rate at $27, and it does go ahead and tell us here, they get paid weekly, they get 40-hour work periods. So that's weekly work periods of 40 hours. So that's another great tool here that you guys can use to be able to, you know, prove that they're working their full 40 hours a week. So again, here, our verification of employment gave us a base salary, it gave us an overtime, and it gave us that other hour, the other bonuses he was getting. So they didn't put it under the bonus, but again, because in their way that they do it, it depends on the company. The way that they broke it down was that it was an other income. But when we looked at it, it was a fleet bonus here, right? They called it a fringe. So technically it does not fall under bonus when they put it towards the work number, but it's still usable income. So again, this was a great opportunity for us to order a verification of employment and get this borrower some extra income. So what we went ahead of here is, again, we broke it down, $27 per hour. We broke down his year-to-date earnings based on his base salary. And yes, it was slightly lower, but we do know that he had just gotten a raise. So that's a great way for us to show, hey, the reason we want to go with this higher income of $46.80 is because he just got a raise. So why do we give him year to date when he's making more money now? So I would definitely choose my per hour rate here, even though my year to date is lower. Again, I'm going to fight it. I'm going to say he just got a raise. Now, again, when it comes to overtime, when it comes to other income, the bonuses, you do have to do your worst case scenario average. And although here I went ahead and averaged, where did my mouse go? Sorry. Although here I did average my last 2 years and year to date, I did go with year to date and 1 year because it was the lowest. I cannot give him the best case scenario because I have to go with my worst case. Again, your underwriter is always going to go with your lowest of your calculations. Same here, I gave him my year-to-date current because the year-to-date current was lower than the last 2 years. Now, if this was FHA, we would definitely go with the 264 because you're not counting your year-to-date average. Same here, you know, we're going to go with the worst-case scenario with FHA. Again, when we're reviewing your pay stub, so now going into just reviewing a pay stub, a lot of little key points. So now, any questions on the basic income and hourly? Let me check here. Nothing on chat. All right, guys. So here's just some basic pointers that, you know, we definitely, again, just reiterating. Again, like I mentioned, this class is a little bit shorter because it's just kind of like a little straightforward. but I do want to, give you guys an opportunity to ask questions as well. So just very big key points that you guys definitely want to look is, making sure that your company name and address matches. Sometimes it's going to have an out-of-state, corporate office, and that's fine. But as long as it matches your W-2s, that it's all matching. We've had situations where the company gets sold, it gets transferred, so stuff like that. So it's good to be able to back all that up by making sure that everything matches ahead of time. Making sure your dates match. We've had situations where stuff like that does not match. So you want to make sure your period ending days do match. You want to make sure your hours are there, your 40 hours are there. Make sure your borrower's information is correct. I had a situation once when I had an agent try to say, no, my borrower is single. Well, make sure your marital status is correct here as well, because this was an FHA, not this particular file, but the file that I had was an FHA file. And guess what? If they're married, we got to run the borrower's spouse's, non-borrowing spouse's credit report. So you want to make sure everything is consistent with your story, with your submittal. So making sure your social matches, making sure, sometimes it just has the last four, so just make sure that does match. Making sure there's no garnishments. We've had people overlook that and don't calculate it. Here in your other, you're going to have certain things that have come up, whether it's a child support garnishment, it could be an IRS garnishment, a franchise tax board garnishment. If they have any type of garnishment, you do have to add it to your liability. So you want to make sure you're taking a look at your adjustments here. When it comes to health, 401k, all that, that's not a big deal. You don't have to hit in with 401k loans. So if you see the 401k here, or you see a 401k loan, you do not have to put that in the liability. So just make sure that you guys are not hitting them with that here, just any type of garnishment. And if you guys have questions, again, I'm here. I'm actually going to be here more often now, so Monday to Thursday. So if you guys have questions, shoot me a message and I can help you take a look at that. So just really cool key points that you guys should take a look at when you're qualifying your borrowers. And I think that's it. See, I told you guys this was a little bit of a shorter class. So any questions that you guys might have? Did you guys want me to go back and review something? I can share this decimal calendar with you guys as well as our income calculation sheet. I love this one particularly. I used to use the one from Genworth, which they changed names. I forgot the name that they changed, but I used to use that one. But this one is so cool because you can actually put the to and from dates and it'll do this little math for you here already, this decimal point. So I really love that because it just kills one less step, right? And we know our seconds are precious. So any questions, anybody? You guys can unmute or put it in the chat. Questions? Yes, I'll definitely share it with you, Dana. Any questions here? Thank you, everyone. Like I said, this one was one of our little shorter classes. It usually is about 25-30 minutes. Sometimes we take a little longer just with questions. I am finishing up getting the calendar of events finalized and reviewed so I can shoot it out to our entire our LOs and staff, because anybody can attend these classes. I mean, our whole goal is to have everybody, get, into these classes and we all learn. I mean, I'm currently learning Surefire for you guys. So I'm hoping to have the initial Surefire class next week. So as soon as it'll just be the basic startup, but that way we can start getting you guys going on that, because that'll be a great tool, especially for our loan officers with realtor partners who want to start marketing out there. So just be on the lookout, guys. I am going to shoot out an actual calendar of events. I'm just finalizing hours and any other classes that might be suggested. And keep in mind, guys, you guys can shoot me an email. Let me know, hey, I want to learn about this. I do have set like a Schedule C class, Schedule E. We are going to do 1120s. So there's going to be a lot of education going on, and don't be afraid if you guys miss the class. They do get recorded, 1, and 2, they are gonna be repeated, because our goal is, you know, sometimes we get called away and we're in the Zoom and somebody interrupts us and we didn't get to finish. So our goal is to repeat a lot of these classes so that everybody gets that opportunity. But if you have a suggestion, feel free to email me. I'm gonna put my email here again. It's jymunoz@icorelending.com. So any questions before we log off? If you guys are good, thank you all so much for attending. And again, you know, I'm happy to help with any questions that you guys might have or any suggestions in classes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.